And then on your page 19, did you, as far as the perception of LBCC, I think it's the 7th item down, helping students achieve their educational goals in a timely manner. Did we ask about career and vocational goals?
I'm sorry, your page numbers don't necessarily correspond to my page numbers, so that's why I'm trying to follow you.
This is, it says big and bold 19, so this the blue slides.
The top of it says perceptions of LBCC.
Thank you.
This one, the one on the screen now?
Yes.
What you see here is what we asked about. And so what was the item that you want to know?
About helping students achieve their educational goals in a timely manner. Did that also entail asking about career and vocational goals?
No, the wording you see there is oftentimes either the full wording or just slightly truncated. So if you don't see that item on the list, that item was not asked.
Okay.
Although we do see teaching real world skills they need to succeed in today's careers, a couple items down from there, right? So we probably didn't ask it in exactly that same way, but we asked it in a way that might line up.
And then the next page where they, as far as recommending LBCC to friends and associates, were we able to find out why the 11% wouldn't recommend LBCC, or is it just a basic question and no?
We didn't ask. I would assume that the 3% of folks who had an unfavorable opinion of LBCC early on were in the 11%, and that leaves you another 8 to go. In my experience, somebody who's unwilling to recommend you doesn't mean that they necessarily have a bad opinion of it, right? But they can say, I don't know enough about Long Beach City College to be comfortable recommending to a friend or an associate that they should go there.
Okay. So it's not necessarily that they had a negative opinion. It's just
right. I
they
mean, we
could
know
have been
from
neutral.
We know from the earlier question in the survey that only 3% of folks did have a negative opinion, right? So that 11% contains those individuals, plus some individuals who just aren't comfortable making a recommendation when they don't know enough about the college to form an opinion.
Okay. And then the next page, you talk about the gap between awareness and positive opinions that appear to be the central communication challenge, and the gap is largest in certain key segments. What are those segments?
The segments were, and by key I meant when you think about a community college district, there's certain segments of the population that you serve oftentimes more than others. Younger adults, for example, under the age of 30, that's one of the areas where that gap was particularly large, and so that's a key target segment for the community college, and that's one where that gap was particularly large. We also saw a bit of a gap with ethnic minorities, so Latinos, African Americans, and Asians. The gap was a little bit larger there than it was for Caucasians. Households that didn't have an LBCC alum kind of makes sense, right? That if you don't have an alum in your household, you probably your level of familiarity with LBCC is lower. And then all those outlying communities that we surveyed that were outside the district but potential feeders, awareness, as you might expect, was lower there, and having the proportion who had an opinion of LBCC was lower there as well. So those were really kind of the key segments I was referring to.
Okay. And how many students did you guys say you surveyed? I think this is Scott's area. Thank you, Tim.
Sure.
Trying to think offhand, the exact number. The room was overflowing. There were probably about 25 students in that focus group.
And how were they selected?
Pardon me?
How were they selected?
The communications staff recruited them both through ASB representatives as well as asking students to participate that day. We wanted as broad a representation as we could get. Heather Morrow was part of that process. I believe it was before John was on board. She could perhaps shed some additional light on that. But there was no specific type of student or specific demographic that was solicited. It was literally as
random.
broad a swath as we could get.
Okay, great. And then under your goals, under enhancing relationship with the news media, what does this entail? How much are we talking about money-wise and tangible outcomes that we're trying to achieve?
Well, you'll see in the plan there are really dozens of tactics related to media outreach and where we want to go with that. So I don't know how much detail you want to hear now, but if you would like, I can follow up with you and we can kind of go through some of those. But they're really, it comes down to kind of being more proactive. So really look at what we call a media fracture program, for instance, where we kind of lay out a board of different publications that we want to target to pitch certain kind of stories, and kind of look at the year and how we might go about pitching, everything from higher ed publications to national publications to local publications. So that's just one of the tactics, an example of the kind of things that are in there. And as far as the budget goes, we're kind of rolling out things as we go based on the available budget. So we're looking at priorities based on the budget that's available.
Okay, I would hope that we can capture, like you said so well, the student stories. We have some great stories, and the people who take care of our students, our faculty and staff, and the magic that happens in the classrooms. I'm hoping to see that in the media, and the work of our administrators as well. So
that would definitely be part of the proactive nature of the program to get those stories out.
I look forward to seeing that. And then the other thing I just wanted is just to comment about holding targeted neighborhood meetings. I think that's a fantastic idea. I said that in my interview with Scott. I'm going to personally have neighborhood meetings, so perhaps if it's something that it could be dovetailed on, I'm happy to support that. And the other thing, just a couple other questions that I had was, I think it's the page where, I'm sorry, this doesn't have page numbers, but communications plan priorities, where it says introduce communications request form. Mm-hmm. What does that mean?
That's an internal form for the college constituencies here internally. So there's a model for this. IATS uses it, and Instructional Effectiveness uses it. And it really provides that centralized point of service and point of contact for the college community. So as we roll out our strategies, we want to have the college, have that way to find us and request our services. So that's what that is.
Okay, great. Well, thank you for your great work, all of you. I know you guys, through a port, I approved your contract, and I know that you guys are great, and you have a great reputation. And I'm happy to see this, and I look forward to seeing the plan.
Chair recognizes Trustee Archuleta.
Yes, thank you. And I, too, want to commend you. A really comprehensive plan. Very well done. I also had some, actually just a question regarding the True North and survey. And I was also, similarly to Trustee Sia, just interested in who the folks are, those folks that were surveyed. I know we serve a very diverse community. I was just curious as to who these people are that you interviewed, or that you surveyed, actually, not interviewed, but that you surveyed.
Sure. I won't be able to rattle them off by name, obviously. But
just general, if
yeah.
you have the demographics.
Yeah, one of the things that we do in terms of a random sample is these are all based on random telephone numbers. We also, however, recognize that just randomizing a telephone number doesn't necessarily guarantee you a random sample. One of the things we find, for example, is when the phone rings in a house, men tend to sit on the couch, women tend to get up and answer the phone. So that if we took the first person who came to the phone, we'd have a sample that's 75% women. So we have screening questions to counteract that behavioral bias and some other issues. And we also screen to make sure the demographics of our sample match the demographics of that population that we're looking to serve. Now yours is quite diverse. I mean, when you look at it just ethnically, for example, 30% were Caucasian, 26% were Hispanic, 23% were African American, 10% were Asian. So it's a very diverse group of individuals that we spoke with as part of this. But I can assure you that we pay close attention to those demographics during our data collection, so that's what in part allows us to be able to take 1,200 interviews and project with a certain margin of error and know what the entire community thinks.
Exactly. Yeah, it's important for us to know what our community's thinking, but again, because our community is so diverse, then, you know, we all have different opinions or interpret the information differently. So, and you said that's in the comprehensive plan that we're going to receive, is that additional information?
The entire contents of the True North survey are in the packet that Jackie.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Chair recognizes Trustee Baxter.
Thank you. Hi, I have a question. You know, when you run for office and you call people on the phone, I have found they don't answer. How many phone calls did you have to make to find 1,200 people who answered the phone?
We make thousands and thousands more calls than that. And part of the reason is when we select a phone number at random to call, we don't just call it once and walk away from it. If we call and somebody's not available, we will schedule a callback time at a different time to give that household yet another chance of being selected. We do 8 callback throughs before we will abandon a number. That's twice the normal industry standard. That's because we recognize that you can't by just running through numbers as fast as you can, you create more of a convenient sample than you do a random sample. And so that's the approach that we take. But suffice to say, to get 1,200 interviews, we're probably making 25,000 calls.
Okay.
Chair recognizes Trustee Otto.
Yeah, I want to compliment you too on the work that you've done. It's not an end, meaning that this isn't a plan that is very prescriptive and we're going to just follow it, but it creates great opportunities, I think, for us here at the college to keep talking about communications and how important it is. And the strategies that are developed are really, really well thought out. I think the methodologies that you've used are terrific. I understand these methodologies and participated in some of them before myself in doing some survey work, but participated in the interviews. I think that, like I said, there's plenty of opportunity now that we've got this great baseline data to move forward with improving the ways that we communicate and how we communicate. And just for example, when I saw that the communications request form, I thought, what a great idea. What it means is that all over campus, when somebody's got an idea, if there's a form that they can say, I'm going to write that down and get it to the right place, and then it can be followed up on or not, depending on where we are and what we're trying to accomplish. I think it's terrific. You're all to be commended. I'm looking forward to working with this plan.
Thank you, Trustee Otto.
Thank you. Any other questions at this time? This is an informational item. So, as was stated, we look forward to more, and thank you very much. Thank you. Next item is the 3.2, the sabbatical reports. Superintendent President Oakley, or should I refer over to Vice President Long? Where do you want me to start?
Yes, I want to turn it over to Vice President Long, who will introduce our sabbatical report.
Vice President Long?
Thank you, President Oakley and President Kellogg. Before I actually introduce our presenter tonight, I would like to also refer you to this board item where you have a summary of the 8 faculty who were granted sabbaticals in 2013-14. So 8 faculty went on sabbatical in 13-14, and what you have in the board agenda today is a summary, 1-page summary, 1.5-page summary from each of those faculty members on their sabbatical project. So I'm hopeful that you had a chance to review those. What we are going to do in the next 4 board meetings, including tonight, is highlight 4 out of those 8 sabbatical projects. And so it is my pleasure right now to introduce to you Dr. David Lehman. He has been teaching here at Long Beach City College for 19 years as a full-time faculty member in the Department of History and Political Science. He has his PhD in history from UCLA, and his field of interest is in early American history. He's taught in the honors program and for 6 years participated in a Teaching American History grant in conjunction with Long Beach Unified School District. So Dr. Lehman, if you would please come up to the podium and share with us your sabbatical project.
Thank you, and welcome.
Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Long. I appreciate that introduction. My name is David Lehman, and as Dr. Long said, I've been here at Long Beach City College for a long time, 19 years by now. And last year I had the privilege of being granted a sabbatical, and I'm really happy to be here to give you just a short report about what I did about that project. Now, I teach at Long Beach City College because I really believe in the mission of the community college and the vital role it can play in expanding opportunity for the students that it serves. And I really love the fact that my vocation is focused on what happens in the classroom, interacting with students. But of course, a sabbatical means stepping away from the classroom for an extended period of time. I'm convinced, though, that that can have a real benefit for both, not just the professors, but for the students as well. I'm convinced that students deserve instructors that keep current in their field and can communicate the enthusiasm that comes from active engagement in scholarly material. And that's what a sabbatical does. It gives professors an opportunity, a unique opportunity, to refresh and renew one's approach to familiar material, and it's just a real privilege. So before anything else, I want to thank the Long Beach Community College District and the Board of Trustees for their continued support for the sabbatical leave program. And believe me, we faculty members, we don't take sabbatical leaves for granted, and I'm truly grateful that 18 months ago, the board approved my sabbatical proposal and those of my 7 other colleagues that received it. I returned to school after the sabbatical leave, energized by the historical research and reading and writing project that I engaged in, and just really excited about bringing that back to the classroom and sharing with my students what I've learned and experienced. Now, about the sabbatical. The purpose of my sabbatical was to work on a book project entitled Explaining Hard Times, The Panic of 1819 in Philadelphia. This was a project that was based on research that I had conducted really many years ago as a graduate student at UCLA and as a dissertation fellow at the McNeil Center for Early American Studies at the University of Pennsylvania. This project examines how the Panic of 1819, which a lot of historians consider the first nationwide economic depression in American history, how it was experienced and understood in one community, Philadelphia. I proposed this project because, although my original dissertation at UCLA was never published, my work, I've been surprised to see, has been often cited by other scholars in the field, and this is especially true since 2008. And I think it's related to the onset of the so-called Great Recession kind of generating a whole lot of perhaps more interest in the field about the significance of the Panic of 1819. And this really was a severe economic disaster, and it forced Americans to kind of reconsider their thoughts about economic progress. So you have an opportunity to see people engaging in wide-ranging debates about banking, about foreign trade, about paper money, about the causes of poverty, about how government should respond to an economic disaster. And I felt like I had something that I wanted to contribute to this. And I'll tell you, really the more general purpose of my project for me was just as important. This project gave me an opportunity to immerse myself in the work of a professional historian for a prolonged period of time, the activities of a professional historian, going to historical archives and research libraries, consulting with fellow historians, engaging in a historical problem, developing a research plan to respond to that problem. In my full sabbatical report, the one that I submitted to the academic vice president and to the board, I kind of lay out and detail the 5-step research plan that I put together, so I won't go through that. But I will say this, one thing that was great about what I was able to do is that it gave me a chance to spend extended periods of time in the collections of archives and libraries, and especially here in Southern California. Southern California has a really rich, wonderful collection of materials for a historian. it is an outstanding opportunity, for example, to be granted research privileges at the Huntington Library, which holds one of the greatest collections of rare books and manuscripts really in the world. And when you're at the Huntington, you're part of a community. You not only have access to all of their materials, you're part of a community of scholars that come really from the world over to use that institution. I also spent a lot of time at UCLA using their digital and hard copy collections, where I was able to reestablish relationships that really date back to graduate school. I traveled outside of Southern California, for example, to the Library of Congress, and I re-engaged with a whole lot of primary source material collected in Philadelphia at the Historical Society of Pennsylvania, the Library Company, the American Philosophical Society, and other research institutions. Now, I loved that research travel. That was great. I really enjoyed it. But it's amazing how much you can do at home. And one of the side benefits of this research project is that it gave me a really new appreciation for the rich historical materials that are available online and might be used in a classroom setting. So I came back from my sabbatical with, I think, a greatly enhanced collection of images and primary documents that I regularly use in my classroom, and I've used for years, but I've been able to enhance that. Just two specific tangible results, or things that I brought back with me from my sabbatical. The first was compiling 2 selected digital archives of primary source material to use in the writing of a history of the Panic of 1819. In my sabbatical report, I included 2 CDs that house these collections. The first includes copies of over 50 rare books, pamphlets, government documents, reports from private associations, all of them related to the Panic of 1819, all of them primary source materials. And then the second CD includes about 250 articles from 3 Philadelphia newspapers, 1 national newspaper, all from articles from between 1815 and 1822. And I'm kind of proud of this digital archive, and I've shared it with colleagues that are working in this field and some that are working on this kind of project as well. The other tangible project, the one that I promised to complete, were drafts for this book project. I came back with drafts for 4 chapters of my proposed book project and 2 articles. And you may have noticed that in the materials that I sent to the board for this meeting, you'll find a copy of one of the articles that I wrote that was published by the Historical Society of Pennsylvania in their history magazine, Legacies. And I invite you, when you have a moment, to perhaps take a look at that if you wish. You won't be tested on it, but if your interest is at all piqued about the Panic of 1819, you can take a look at that there. Let me just mention one other thing that I'm thankful for in being granted a sabbatical, and that's the gift of time. Time to read, certainly. Time to reflect on what I want to do for the rest of my career here at Long Beach City College. Time to make 2 extended week-long trips to visit my 94-year-old father living in Virginia, which I probably wouldn't have been able to do during a regular school year. Time to be more present with my wife when she had an unexpected surgery. These are wonderful things, and I want to thank the board once again for that privilege and for your continued support for the sabbatical program. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Other members of the board have questions? Anyone? Thank you very much. I can just say that since when I first arrived as a board member, how the sabbatical reports were given, how they're even selected, I can only tell you that the group and the ones that we've seen, the quick reviews, the ones, they're all outstanding. And really what was, for me personally, was the fact that and I appreciate your comments about what you got out of this as well, not just from a personal level, but from a professional level, and how you can also take that and help our students here at this college. And every one of the reports, it was really pleasing to see that it actually did make a contribution to you, And actually, I thought it was very fascinating, your more detailed one. I'm glad you're not going to ask me questions on it because I didn't really specialize in that area in college, but it still was very interesting about how history and how it works in our country. But I just have to compliment everyone and the fact you are giving the presentation. We have 2 or 3 other presentations in following meetings, and I can just tell you that it is really very pleasing to see the quality and how people do appreciate it. But it's a long way from when I will just tell you, I remember sitting here watching and I'm not kidding, watching a home movie of a sabbatical report. It's come a long way, and all for maybe that was a good way of doing it, but I do appreciate your comments and the others and the outstanding work that you do and how this helps you in so many ways. So on behalf of the board and for me personally, I really do appreciate the fact that you took this time and you took it seriously, and you really, I'm pleased that you got as much out of it as I think this college gets out of it as well. So well done. Other members this time? Former faculty member in history area who will probably now ask you questions. Chair recognizes Trustee Baxter.
David, I just want to say I'm so proud to have been a member of that department, and I've always admired you. When I was reading scholarship applications, you always wrote very wonderful, exact recommendations for students, just not this is a nice person or something like that. You really, I understood that you understood that student, and I want to laud you for your dedication and appreciate the work that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Other members? Thank you very much. Well done. And so Vice President Long will have at our next meeting, we'll have another one of these sabbatical reports.
Correct. You'll have 3 more. The next 3 meetings, 1 each.
To the same quality that we had tonight. Very good.
Absolutely.
I'm sorry, there won't be any home movies? No. Okay, thank you. Then we're moving on. That was an informational item. The next is item 3.3, Career and Technology Educational Programs. Superintendent President Oakley, do I recognize you or do I recognize Vice President Long?
We just toss it right over to Dr. Long.
Dr. Long.
Thank you, President Oakley, President Kellogg. Tonight we have a short presentation for you, which is an overview of our credit-based career and technical education programs. I have 3 presenters to introduce to you tonight that will be doing this presentation for you. First, we have Dean Ken Starkman, who is the Dean of Career and Technical Education. Secondly, we have Dr. Jennifer Rodden, who is the Dean of Language Arts and Communication. And thirdly, we have Dr. Paul Creason, who is the Dean of Health, Kinesiology, Science, and Math. And just on a personal note, I'd like to say congratulations, Paul. Last week, he defended his dissertation and is officially Dr. Paul Creason. So congratulations.
Thank you.
So I'll turn it over to our 3 presenters.
Thank you very much. President Oakley, President Kellogg, members of the board, it's our pleasure to be here tonight to go over career and technical education programs for you. I'd like to give you an outline of where we're headed. We're going to talk a little bit about what is CTE. We're going to talk a little bit about CTE at Long Beach City College. We're going to demonstrate that there are CTE programs in each of the schools, and that's why we have 3 deans here and 1 who is being filled in for Dina Humble by Dr. Rodden. And really the focus tonight is going to be on innovation in CTE at Long Beach City College and all of the wonderful things that our faculty are doing with our curriculum and with the facilities that have been coming online here at Long Beach City College. Everything that you see here tonight is happening in our classrooms, and the pictures that you'll see in this presentation are all real, and they're right from our classroom. So, the definition of career and technical education, some of you may have recalled it was once called vocational education. It's career and technical education, and they're programs that integrate rigorous academic study with workforce skills in specific career pathways. I think a good way to look at it is they're programs that are designed to lead directly to a job that require a specific skill or certification. Some examples I'll give you, and I know that you have a packet, are nursing, radiology, accounting, architecture, computer programming, things like that. Career and technical education is very relevant. Just this morning, President Obama was speaking about the unrest in Baltimore, and he had two recommendations when he was making his speech. One was to invest in cities and communities, and the other was to invest in education. And in particular, President Obama has been very supportive of career pathways, which are our CTE program.